Your business needs help. 56.1 million employees are employed by small businesses in the United States, and 99% of all U.S. establishments are small businesses under 250 employees. That means that your business should be listening to the only podcast dedicated to small business success. That's Growth Success Radio, growthsuccessradio.com. Welcome to this week's episode of Growth Success Radio. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of Growth Success Radio, growthsuccessradio.com. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Scott Gombar, owner of Scott Gombar Digital Marketing Agency, and I have with me my other co-host, Eugene Resnitsky. Eugene, fire away.
I am co-owner of Traeger Insurance Group. We are an independent insurance agency based out of Meriden, Connecticut. Independent means that we're not like State Farm or all states of the world where they can only sell State Farm and Allstate. We act more as of a broker, so we take the client and we try to find them the best price for the best possible coverage. My role within the agency is president of commercial lines, so I'm in charge of growing the commercial division. And what that means is I help business owners protect their business against the what ifs in life.
Awesome. And this is again Growth Success Radio. We are here live every Friday, 10 a.m. And we bring you small business owners and people that work with small businesses to talk about how you can grow and succeed in your own small business. If you want to listen to or watch, we have both audio and video recordings on our website, growthsuccessradio.com. And today we're going, and there's one of our guests, Wayne, popping in. Today's topic, content marketing, is it still king? And we're going to talk about how we can. Wayne was just on a few minutes ago. I don't know what is going on here. And Herbert. Let's see what Herbert's all about here. Okay, Herbert, we're gonna have other people on in a moment. Okay, Herbert, so I'll let you back on in a few moments. But so is content marketing still relevant? Is it still king? And we've started a new hashtag for the show. It's going to be Success Hacks. So we're going to take the best quote of the show and use it during the week and credit that person who said it. So last week's success hack was be transparent. And I think that's very important in the business world, right? You don't want to hide what you're doing from other people. So Wayne is coming on. Hopefully, Wayne, I don't know if you can hear me, if you want to try refreshing. He was just on a few minutes ago, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. And we're going to have other people come on. I have my friend Zeph in the room. She's going to join us. There she is now. Good morning, Zeph.
Good morning.
So I'm able to delay. Yay! I could be here for half an hour. That's how you conquer this, right?
That's right. That's right. You got a snow delay?
I have a delay with my intern, so she's available for a little bit later, so we're good.
Eugene, I need an intern.
Well, funny you say that. We're going to go to the Quinnipiac Career Fair and try to find ourselves free labor.
Well, it's actually not free labor for me because it's a lot of time also on their hand and my hand because I really do, I really do take the time to go through their program because I do have a virtual internship program. So both sides are committed. It's a lot of work. Trust me. It's a lot of work.
Well,
okay.
My intern will do filing. So take care of my
for everybody in the audience, we are going to cycle through some people here as well. So Wayne is our primary guest, but again, he looks like he's having some technical difficulties. But as seats open up. If you are in the marketing world or you handle your own content marketing for your business, we'd love to have you on to discuss today's topic. Again, that is content marketing. So Eugene, what's new in the world of insurance? Any snow advice?
Google is
Google's
new.
new in the world of insurance?
Yes. So Google's trying to release well, they kind of have released, I don't know if you heard of it, Google Compare.
I have
Scott,
not actually.
You're Mr. Google. It's basically a online quoting tool that clients can utilize. But furthermore, besides just giving you the quote, you can finalize the coverage right there from different companies. Now, so it sounds good, but Google's having a lot of issues with it. They're having a lot of issues getting carriers on board and having states approve them. So that's the big news, but you know, it's a game changer because Google's big. They have a lot of information. So it might be a game changer in the insurance world down the road.
So would that be good or bad for you guys, you think?
Well, it depends. So there's two ways they can do it. They can do it completely where they just take care of everything. Or if they come up with a system where independent agents can sign on and be put on as the agent for that client. So the client could say, yes, I like this price with Safeco, but I want this as my agency, and they have a listing of agencies. Almost similar to what like Zillow and all them have, where they have realtors on the side.
I'm wondering if web content is on Chrome.
Wayne, yeah, so he was on Firefox. I was working for him yesterday, and it worked for him just a little while ago too. And I know Firefox works with Blab now, but I don't know what's going on with him now.
But it's still a little bit wonky, I think, with Mozilla.
Yeah. So Wayne, it looks like he left the room again. He'll probably email me.
Well, as soon as you click record, it stops working.
Yeah. Wayne, if you want to try in Chrome as well, let's see what happens. Yeah, so for me, a couple of little cool updates, really. So Facebook turned 12 this week. And by the way, we're 21. We can drink now. Legally, anyway. I did most of my drinking before I was 21. And I saw in a weak moment, a very weak moment yesterday, I had the TV on. Very rare in this house, well, unless my son's watching TV. And no longer 6 degrees of separation thanks to Facebook. Now it's 3.57 degrees of separation.
Wow.
We're getting closer to those big shots now.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, in reality, I'm friends with Mari Smith on Facebook. I've even seen Mari Smith on here and on Instagram, and you know, for our world, mine and Zeph's world, that's a big name. So, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yes.
So today, content marketing. Oh, by the way, if you guys have questions, feel free to type them in. You just hit the little slash mark you see on the right of your send message field there, and then select question. That's probably the easiest way to do it because people get it backwards all the time. And then type in your question, and we'll pop it in and answer your question. And we have a newbie on. Nice. Welcome.
Also, don't forget to tweet and post to Facebook.
Yes, we love it when you tweet us out, post it. Our pictures are on. Usually catch one of us in a very awkward moment, and it shows up on Twitter. It's great. We love it.
And everybody that tweets, Scott will bake you a cookie.
I'll bake you. Well, I can go get some cookies from Marnie. How about that? You don't want me to bake you a cookie. Are the gifts working yet, Zeph?
No, not yet. They told me yesterday they're still working on it, but they will put them back.
Okay. So no animated gifts today. Sorry, guys.
I know. Bummer.
So content marketing. Is content marketing still king? Zeph, tell us about yourself. You're in the hot seat right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm the Chief Flight Officer at Entrepreneurs at Soar, and I work with high-performing entrepreneurs, seminar leaders, small business owners, marketers, and food entrepreneurs to help them attract more leads and clients by live streaming. That's what I do. Primarily on Blab, Periscope, and Google Hangouts.
So you're like the live streaming queen.
I do. I love that. The fact that I think live streaming is changing the way we connect with people, the way we do business, and, the way we're creating content.
Content. So that's just, I didn't even share the questions with her, Eugene. She knows some of the questions already. Chief Flight Officer. I like it. I call myself the Chief Growth Officer.
There you go.
We're technically business owners, but I'm the Chief Growth Officer. She's the Chief Flight Officer.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene's the Chief Insurance Officer.
There you go.
CIO. So that's what we're going to do.
All the COs, right?
That's right. C-level execs.
Yes.
It's all about being in the C-suite.
Yes, absolutely.
So you kind of answered it already, Zeph, but what is your definition of content marketing?
My definition of content marketing is really the value that you have, that you can, the value of your content should be the solution to the problems of your audience. And I think it can be delivered in multiple ways in this day and age of, technology and social media driven world. But the fact is I keep working on with my clients is trying to get them to understand their strength is how are they good at creating content, right? Because everybody's different and that value that they bring is different because somebody may not be great on camera and live streaming may not be the best format for them to deliver or create content. Then they will have to figure other ways. But it's just all about the value, how you have that value that becomes a solution to the problems of your audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's actually a good point because that's what we're talking about is content marketing still king? And a lot of people will tell you that blog world is extremely noisy, and it is. So it's not there. Some people will tell you it's not king anymore. But that's not fact. It's just, there's Wayne. Awesome. Can you hear us, Wayne?
Yes, I can.
All right, Wayne, awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Wayne English. I run Web Content RX. I write content. I speak on content creation and writing. Speak on social networking. I work with clients to help them market their wares and their services. I'm working with some people now that sell computer numerical controlled lathes, believe it or not, of all things. I've written 3 books. I have local, national, and international publications. I blog at epolitics.biz, and I also blog at blog.webcontentrx.biz. For you folks, you'd probably be more interested in the one at blog.webcontentrx. It's more to do with marketing and content creation and how to actually use content to accomplish your goals online.
All right, so Wayne, what is your definition of content marketing?
Content marketing is providing what your clients want in a venue that they want it, and then notifying them that it's there and telling them in words that are meaningful to them why they need to consume your content. If you don't do all of those things, the material that you spend a lot of time and money creating simply won't be read. We say that your content is either going to get read or get lost, and unfortunately that's the reality of the situation. So it's important that you let people know what you're doing and where it is. A good way to do that is to send a survey. The survey notifies them of what you're doing, and it also brings feedback to you, which is critical to produce the material that your clients want in a way they want it, and then notify them where it is. All of those things come together. So before you actually start creating content, a marketing plan needs to be put together. So you actually do the market research necessary so that you're pretty well informed as to the fact that you're going to be making what people want, and then letting them interact with you so you keep moving that target so you further and further refine the content you're creating so that it continually meets customer needs. And the big thing is don't market in everything you do. There's a tremendous cloud that surrounds your products and services. And you can even you can talk about things like your favorite cartoon. On my blog, there's this cartoon I like. It's called Logjam. It's a real kick. You can see it on YouTube. So you bring in things that are interesting to people that don't necessarily market everything every time that you contact your clients. They're going to get sick of that. They're just going to say, wait, there's another marketing message. I'm sick of that because everything I get from Wayne is just saying, buy his stuff. So you can talk about things that are interesting. You can talk about Christmas presents. You can provide links to where people can find research on the present and what people think about the present. And you do things that are timely. Certainly after Thanksgiving, you can talk about the holidays. And then maybe every fourth or fifth or sixth item that you create, you can talk about a product. You can talk about what's going on in your industry. What's going on in your industry can be extremely valuable to your clients, particularly if these people are trying to use what you're selling in their operation to promote their own goods. Once you start becoming a resource and your resource helps them sell their products and services, they want to know what you've got to say. That becomes important. They're going to follow more and more and more of what you're doing. And even when you send material out that's not directly marketing related, they're going to read it. And if you provide 2 or 3 minutes of diversion, that's okay. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But a great deal of online success comes from really being highly aware of what it is that your clients, customers, target audience really, what they want from you. If you give them that, you're golden. If you don't, you're essentially going to be ignored. I hate to say it. I know people work hard and spend a lot of time creating content, but sometimes that content is useless. One of my clients, he's a photographer. He's a fantastic photographer, but his first blog post talked about where he started out in the industry, and very nice blog post, but nothing one of his clients would be interested in. So I said, well, why don't you do something on what to bring when you have a portrait done? Something simple like bring a comb, bring a brush. Women would want to bring some makeup. These portrait photographers all have a room where you can go and change and comb your hair and repair your makeup and all that sort of thing. There's a mirror in there and the whole bit. But not everyone would know that unless you've had an executive portrait. Now that is something that a photographer's clients would be interested in, particularly people in the corporate world who need an executive portrait to put on the company website to use in company marketing. That's the sort of thing that you want to create. Bring people value as they define it, not as you define it. We all have to be careful. We suffer from the curse of knowledge, which I wish I came up with that phrase. But we tend to look at the world and think that everyone knows what we know. Everyone doesn't know what we don't know. That's not the way it is. We need to educate ourselves on what the client wants to know and needs to know, and then you provide it. Do they want it as a PDF? Do they want it as a video? Do they want it as a podcast? Do they want it in the form of blab? Now, we all like blab, but other people might not. So it's important that you give them the venue that they want as well as the content that they want. I do a lot of writing. I'm very comfortable with the written word. When you write for the client, it's extremely critical, really, that your content be superbly written and it be written in a sense that there's no fluff. You want to really provide the meat and potatoes. Put links in there if you want. Use bold, use headlines. Keep your sentences short, 12 to 15 words. That's plenty. Paragraphs, 4 to 5, maybe 6 sentences in a paragraph. And really highly target the title. We're going to talk about blogs later. Or if you're doing videos, whatever you're making, the title needs to speak very clearly to the reader or to your audience about what's in the video. I've seen people put up video titles that are absolutely terrible, and it's the kiss of death because no one's ever going to find it. One client of mine put up a title, Chamber Talk. I think it was on a video. No one's ever going to find it. He's a human resources guy, and he was speaking at a Chamber of Commerce. No one is ever going to search for Chamber Talk to find a human resources lecture. That won't happen. It would never, ever rise to anyone's awareness because you'd never think of that. Yeah. So look at your material, and if you're having trouble deciding how to title it, I tell people all the time, a quick and dirty way to do that is the words that you would type into a search engine to find those words you want in the title, those are the words you want in the body of the material. You do that and you're in good shape. So that you know. And then, of course, you need to promote it. You need to go active. It's not just enough to put your content out in the world. Promoting it with email is excellent. You can promote with a wide range of online tools, which folks like us use all the time. Your clients may not. You can spend 15 minutes with a client and ask them, are you sending a media release? They'll say no. So have them put a media release on patch.com. It's fantastic because it's your gateway to Google News. I've done media releases for people, put them on Patch. A couple of days later, the client's getting reports back that they're finding him on Google News. People love that because it shows the client that what you're doing is highly effective and they're being found online, which is the whole point. You can certainly use Facebook, Twitter. I like Twitter a lot for promoting, well, in my case, blog posts and what I do. But I like Twitter because you tweet every hour from, say, 8 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon, and it's the same tweet. You can use one of the scheduling tools. You can use TweetDeck or Cloud. They're all over the place. Pick one that you like. Cut and paste, schedule this thing for a whole day's worth, and then that blog post or that video gets a good, strong start to have people become aware of it. I really like email because you can send it directly to your client list. You can use a free tool like MailChimp. You can use Constant Contact. There's lots of tools. They'll keep you legal with the Can-Spam Act. And they work out great. I'm a big believer in email marketing. I was planning on talking about blogging, but before that, I wanted to talk about promotion. Let's talk about blogging a little bit.
Wayne, before we get to that,
go ahead.
Well, you're getting into it anyway. Let's get everybody's definition of a blog. Well, Wayne and Zeph's definition of a blog. So, Zeph, you want to fire away first because I know you don't have too much more time.
Right. Thanks for that. So here's how I'm hearing everything that Wayne is saying, and it's so true, but about creating different content for different types of clients, right? Or different type of audience, because somebody may not like Blab, somebody may not like blog, somebody may just not like any kind of social media. So how are we getting our value out to them? How are we connecting to them? For me, blog doesn't work for everybody. So just like Blab too, it won't work for everybody. Is knowing the fact that how you can repurpose your content is so key. Because for me, I start with Blab, which is a live streaming video, right? And then I push it to different places, whether it's a blog, whether it's a PDF, it's a slide presentation. But I try to get something into the blog of value. So what I normally do with my blogs is I'll have a video and then I'll maybe, transcribe or do some sort of a presentation, which is short, instead of going through the whole video, somebody can take the whole condensed content from the entire conversation in Blab. And that's how I've been using it. And I use it as a logged blog where I will use it as a way to build my email list. And I know Marketo and HubSpot that does this a lot, right? So that's how I use it in my business, and everybody uses it differently. And you're absolutely right, Wayne, because these days blogging is so noisy. It's just trying to get the eyeballs to the blog content,
That's
right?
correct.
That's such a challenge. With me, we're all busy people. We all have 0 to 10-second attention span, right? And we all have this, shiny object syndrome. Is all about how to create that main primary content and knowing how your audience will react to each content that you create. So I may blog differently, Scott may blog differently, Eugene may blog differently, but it's all about, yes, Wayne was right, knowing what your audience wants, but our audience is just not one type personality, right? Somebody's going to like, no, I'm an audio visual kind of person. I just love videos. Okay, great. Then create videos. Somebody's going to say, I love, blogs because I can read them on the go. Okay, great. You repurpose content differently. And that's how I use my blogging, is just to repurpose the content that I already have, spin it in a different way so that I have multiple content. It looks like multiple content, but it becomes very focused and very, streamlined, and just like, here's what you need, subscribe to it, and you get it. That's how I do my blog.
Oh, that's perfect. You hit it precisely. I love hearing that, because when I'm out in the world, I don't generally run into people with your level of expertise. It's really nice. Thank you.
Trust me, Wayne, I've done this. Like, for instance, what I'm trying to say is I've done it the hard way. Is learning from people like you guys who come on and live streaming and sharing your story, because the thing is that everybody comes to me, right? Here's where we all are, especially if you're a marketer. You have like 1,000 gazillion logistics to work with.
Right.
And somebody from the left side will say, you got to do this. And somebody from the right side is going to do this. And you jump on 10 different blogs. They all say different things, right? And then you get, so, oh my God, what should I be doing?
Right.
But the bottom line is understanding who you are, who your audience are, right? Because it's important for you to be consistent and persistent, because if you are not developing the content that you enjoy and like, you're not going to be doing it. Like, for instance, if you're going to say, Zaf, you just blog. And I'm like, really? I'm more of a video person, right? Because I create my content this way. If I didn't understand that, I would not be persistent. Like, if you to ask me to write a blog every day, I'm like, you're crazy. So, knowing what you're good at also plays a role. Yeah. To connect you with your audience.
A very big piece of all of our success is generating what we like.
Yes.
And then, I mean, the client has got to like that too. And we're not going to grow roses when they want bulldozers. And I don't. That's not at all. But finding tools that we enjoy using. You mentioned doing video. There's a tool out there called Jing, Jing. It's free for a download, and it's a screen capture facility. So if you want to show someone, let's say, how to use a piece of software, you can open the software up, capture that screen, and talk while you do the process.
Right.
And save it and put it on YouTube. And now you're making instructional videos.
Wayne, I actually use Google Hangouts for that, and I tell people, right? So I came from a background which is non-technical. I'm married to a tech support, 24/7 live-in tech support. So, when he starts talking hardware, I'm like, but I've learned the hard way. That's how I arrived in live streaming. Is I started with Google Hangouts and understood the processes. And Google Hangouts is one of those tools, right? Of course, it's freemium. You can really do what you just said there, Wayne. You could do a screen share, you can record, and you don't have to worry about uploading it to YouTube. It goes directly to YouTube. So I think many of us that don't understand is there's so many logistics to everything that we do, especially when creating content. We get overwhelmed by this. Oh my God, how am I creating content?
Right.
How do I repurpose content? What content works? Where? All that stuff. But I always tell people, don't get overwhelmed with that. It's great that we understand and learn from one another, but it's a trial and error.
Right.
We just have to do the dirty work, because if you don't, you will never know what your system looks like.
And unfortunately, our clients who aren't in the business of making content, it becomes overwhelming for them to learn the tools and to take the time and run the business at the same time. And I don't blame them for not wanting to do it, because it gets perceived as you're doing all of this work. There's no payback. And until the content gets out there and you start to get some traction and you start to get some following, there really is no payback. So it's very difficult for businesses to allocate the time and the money to create this stuff, and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's a hard one. That's a hard one to convince people to do that. And I understand that.
All right. I have a question for you guys, right? So once you take a blog and you post it on your website, what do you do with it now? How do you get people to look at it?
Oh, well, I like email. You have an email list for all your clients. I would send them an email, and don't just say, come and read my blog, because they're just going to throw that away. Open up with a provocative question, answer it in the blog. And in your email, you open with perhaps 4 or 5 or 6 sentences, maybe a couple paragraphs of the blog post. And on the bottom, you say, to read the remainder of this blog, follow this link. And then don't just say follow this link, but you give them the entire link, so in case they need to cut and paste it, they can. Never just say follow this link. That's a disaster. But now you're giving them a provocative title. They open it up. They do some reading. They say, I'd like to read the rest of this. They hit the link. Your blog opens up, and now they're reading your blog. And then in the blog post, you can have a few sentences at the end saying, if you enjoy this, subscribe to my RSS feed, or put this in your favorites. Tell them what to do. Don't just sort of end the blog. And don't do that on every post either. You don't want to, maybe in the beginning, and then every now and then you can do that, but I wouldn't do that with every blog post. That's going to get old.
I think, Eugene,
Call to
one
action,
of the
that's
most...
what Gail's
Go
saying.
ahead.
Call to action. Call to action is what
That's
Gail's saying.
I was just going to say.
Exactly.
But also, just like David, I think Confluent Forms mentioned earlier that, it's your content is going to be the bridge that connects you with your audience, right? Just think about, like, if you're doing an event, right? What would you do to announce it out to the world? That's pretty much what you have to do with your content, because it's like, when you build it, they will come. No, they will not. You have to announce. Right. You have to let them know the value, and whenever you reshare or repurpose that out and share with people, you don't say, oh, go to Macy's. And why am I going to Macy's, right? So, go to Macy's because they have this 50% sale on all this, whatever. So it's going to sound something like that, because if you were just to repurpose and post like, here's my blog, go read. It's just going to be like, here, go to Macy's. So.
We all have to answer the question, what's in it for me? People aren't going to pay attention to you if there's no payoff for them. And that's really, that's the crux of the matter. If you give people solutions to problems, you help them out with future technology, you create products that help them make money, then you're golden. If you don't do that, they're not going to do anything. See, they essentially read you, it's either for entertainment, for news, or to promote the business. As far as we're concerned, that's those the 3. They're not going to really come to us. We're not a news site. Entertainment, we're not really an entertainment site. And our target audience is business. That's who's paying us, and that's who we want to appeal to, particularly our own clients. So we need to help them be more successful. If we do that, then we're successful.
So David, who I'm going to have pop in a few minutes, said something else earlier. Content isn't king, buyer personas are king. And I think Wayne touched on that as well. You have to know who your client is before you start doing anything. If you don't know who your client is, you're just shooting blanks in the air.
Right.
So we're going to have him hop on in a few minutes here. But let's see. Oh, Zeph just said she has to go. Okay, so David, the seat will open up right now.
Wayne, Eugene, talk to you all. Have a great lap. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So David, whenever you're ready. So I think really what's happened here is that content marketing has kind of evolved, and I think we pretty much talked about that already. It's evolved to this format where where a lot of people, or a lot of marketers anyway, are creating video in this, maybe in this format, or maybe it's a Periscope type format where it's just one to many, but whatever it is, a video, and then they're transcribing that to written, and as well creating audio. And that's what we do with this. We record this, we upload it to YouTube, we upload it to iTunes, and I give a quick synopsis, because I don't have time to transcribe the whole thing, but I give a quick synopsis of what this was about. And because there's people out there that have different ways of taking that content in. So I think that's the evolution of content. I don't know how you guys feel about that, Wayne and Eugene.
Well, I used to say that content is king, and I no longer feel that way. Promotion is king, because making content without having that content be consumed is just a loser's game. It's like making any other product. If you make a car and nobody buys it because no one knows it exists, you're out of business. If you take a look at the traditional advertising, you'd make a product, you'd advertise it, you'd bring in money, you'd buy more advertising, sell more product, buy more advertising, sell more product. That model has sort of broken down. Online advertising today is not a good place to advertise because there's so many ad blockers out there. I just did a blog post on that a couple of days ago. Advertising is having a hard time because they spend money on ads, but then folks like us install ad blockers. Nobody sees I shouldn't say nobody. Many people do not see the ad. So how do I, if I'm a company wanting to be known, how do I get people to know about me? You've got to provide high quality content, maybe videos, maybe PDFs, have a website, do online media releases like I mentioned earlier. I like Patch, but you've got to, there's a rich world to get your word out, and you've got to take advantage of it because advertising is not what it used to be.
I think content isn't king. I think the thing that will always be king, no matter what you're doing, is value. Value is always going to be king. So you have to be able to bring value to your clients.
Great.
And I think content is just another way that we can bring value to our clients. Right. And that content has to be relative to the client, is what I feel.
Oh, you're absolutely right. There's no question. And that's why you can make really good, terrific content. But if it's for an audience that's not your audience, you could end up with people following you who have no interest in your product or your company or your service.
Yeah.
And that's hard because now you're throwing away time and money making content that has no relevance to increasing your income.
All right. So just another question. Oh.
Yeah, before you ask that, Eugene, if anybody wants to hop in that seat, if you're doing your own marketing or if you market for other people, feel free. We're talking content marketing, whether it's still relevant. And hey, Samantha, we've blabbed before. Samantha, if you want to hop on that open seat, we'd love to have you on. Samantha is the tweeting, and she left. Oh well, tweeting goddess. I've done a blab with her before. Her Twitter is her thing, but she does content marketing as well. So go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah, so the next kind of question I have is, what are some of the important technical aspects of content on the website?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What are some of the most important technical aspects of having content on your website?
The technical aspects of having content?
Yeah, for adding to, if you're going to put content on your website, there's some technical aspects.
Oh, okay. Did you want me to answer that? Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
My favorite content tool for a website is a PDF. You can download it. You can link to it. It's totally self-contained. You can have numerous pages in the PDF. You can have a title page. You can include your contact information. You can include information on your company. And then, of course, you can have pages and pages of graphics, photographs, text, and you can make a beautiful environment and give your clients material that's very helpful to them. You can also have a complete web page. If you want to have this something that's got its own URL, maybe you could put a link in your menu to it. You can do an entire web page. For instance, on my website, I've got both. If you go to my content page, it's filled with PDFs. If you go to my publications, it's essentially a web page that links to all the material that I've written. So it sort of depends on the content and the purpose of the content. If you want to have something that a client can read and then email to someone, a PDF is a perfect vehicle for that, because they can send it and it goes totally self-contained, and it's got all your information in it as well as the technical content that you're giving to your target. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
And then, of course, on the top
David,
of your
how are
web page, you link to your blog, you link all to your social networking networks too. People have different opinions on that. I have those links. Not everyone does, because they feel that once you get a client to your website, you want to keep them there. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but that is one way of looking at things. Not everybody has the links on their website. I want the links there because I want to show them that I'm out in the world and they can follow me in different locations. I started doing a great deal on Facebook just in the last few days, bringing in curated material from other places to make my Facebook page very rich for people with interesting stories and text. And it's stuff that they probably would never find. I'm out looking for this. I look on 2 or 3 different locations on the net that I like, and what I find that's appropriate, I put on my Facebook page. I use Twitter for something different, and my website again for something different. So I look at this really as a whole, composed of different pieces, and each piece has its own job to do. For instance, LinkedIn, which I think is terrific. I was on LinkedIn a few days ago. I clicked on a link, and it sort of took me to a girly site. It wasn't a pornographic site, but there was all sorts of nudes all over the place. Not that I have anything against nudes. But I didn't think it was appropriate for on LinkedIn. When people like us go to LinkedIn, we're there to do business. We're not there for that sort of thing. So I don't know if LinkedIn is wanting to become Facebook. Do they want to be something else? Do they want to be all things to all people? I hope not. LinkedIn is a fantastic resource. I hope it doesn't change its model and essentially ruin itself.
I think this is going to segue to David here a little bit, but you mentioned placing the social links on the top of your site, and I think that's important because you need to meet your clients where they are, and not everybody is going to come to your website on a routine basis to see what kind of content you have on that site. So David, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Dave Kutcher. I own a boutique web design, web development firm, but we also help our clients with web strategy, content strategy, and analytics. So it's not just, the website and how it's doing as a website, but also how it is a fundamental part of your capture strategy and funnel strategy. So, part of what we do is develop buyer personas, create content mappings and strategies with our clients, and how the content feeds into their funnels and how they're developing their audiences back to their sites. And it was interesting what you were saying about social media. I mean, for a lot of my clients, we don't include social media links on their sites, or we downplay them because it's not a big factor. We don't want people to go there because, that's not the way our funnel works. We want them maybe to come off of social media into the website, and from there, sign up and be part of the website. So that's our place of capturing them. Mm-hmm. We don't want them to go back to Twitter. Who cares if they go back to Twitter?
Right.
With other clients, we're working on one right now that they put out a lot of content that gets a lot of activity on Twitter. So it's a whole strategy of, getting tons of people in from Twitter, using Facebook retargeting, and then using Facebook retargeting to get them onto our email newsletter. It's all a matter of how your content develops your funnel, and it starts with providing valuable content that is useful and provides value to your audience, to your target audiences. And that's where audience segmentation and buyer personas come in really handy, is that you can actually write content and produce content that's specifically targeted to each of those different personas. And that could be in different voice, it could be in different levels of reading comprehension, it could be all different things, and how that all comes back and funnels back into your strategy.
Yeah, so you said something earlier in the chat. You said content isn't king, buyer personas are king.
Yep.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So, I mean, over the last few years, people have gotten caught up in this whole idea of you have to feed the content beast, as Guy Kawasaki put it. And I took, a lot of, I argued with that point for so long because it's a bogus statement, in my opinion. If you're just churning out content, you're not doing anything except just creating more noise for yourself. You're just putting out more noise. You're putting out a greater difficulty for you in finding what's valuable and what's working for you. Instead, what I encourage my clients to do is, like I said, develop buyer personas. Like, who are your audiences? Let's break out your audiences, not by demographics, but by who they actually are. Like, for example, I'm working with a training facility that does baseball pitching. And their buyer personas are everything from, elementary school kids to the parents of elementary school kids to the coaches of elementary school kids to high school, and college athletes and their trainers and their coaches to professional athletes. And these are all different buyer personas who have different unique needs and different unique questions. And you would talk to a pitcher in elementary school differently than you would talk to a professional or semi-pro pitcher. So not only, you are all in the business of they're teaching pitching mechanics, but how you phrase your content and how you write content for these different personas is completely different. And that's not to say that one persona isn't more valuable than another, but that when you produce your content, you're thinking about your audience specifically for that piece of content and writing it for them. And the author in that case goes, you know what, I'm going to use a different language when I'm talking to an elementary school pitcher than I'm talking to their father, who's their coach or trainer, than when I'm talking to the actual coach or, different levels. And that's where a lot of people with content strategy get caught up in demographics as opposed to actually personas. So like I said earlier, it's not just the content, but it's how you're actually creating the content for your personas. That's really the most important aspect of it.
I like what you're saying about the content persona. I think in my second book, I developed something I call Joe and Josephine Customer, Joe Customer for short. And I used the word Josephine so women wouldn't say I was being sexist. And in that development, I talk about, I think what David was alluding to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you talk about their marital status, if they have children. You develop the surrounding material of your customer. So once you know the customer, you know what the customer cares about, what the customer likes, doesn't like, and what the customer would be interested in.
Well, I tell people to visualize. So, when you're creating these personas, create a visualization of who this person is. Give them a name, give them, picture in your head who this person is. So like with some of the blog content that I write for my company's blog, I have a specific one of my clients in mind. Like I see this woman who's in her 60s. She owns a bed and breakfast. She's always overworked, always stressed. And I'm literally picturing her in my head when I'm writing the content.
That's great.
So that way I can speak to what I know is bothering her. I can speak to her challenges directly because I know there's lots of others like her. And I can speak to her level of technical comprehension and not go over her head. So when I'm writing some of this content, I'm writing it as if it's being written for her. And when she reads it, she goes, man, he wrote this for me. Mm-hmm. And lots of other people do that too. When they read the content, like, how were you inside my head when you were writing this content? I was like, because I visualized who I was talking to. And I write like I speak oftentimes. So
I think that's important. I think that's very important, though. You have to talk to your clients in their language, not because all of us here can talk a certain way. You know, Eugene can talk a certain way about insurance, and they would be like, what in the world are you talking about? But, you know, we have to be able to talk to our clients the way they understand it, not the way we understand.
right.
Yeah, and I think that's that last step in content writing that people forget, because they try to make their content apply to so many people that they water down the personalization aspect of it, because they're no longer visualizing one person. They're trying to speak to an audience, and they're trying to speak to demographics. And that's where I tell my clients, you know, when you create your buyer personas, literally picture in your head or name that person. Like, give me for instance of who fits this persona that you can picture in your head and write like you're writing to them. And that makes your content that much more effective, because when that target audience reads it, like I said, they feel like you just wrote it for them because you did.
People ask me, what should I blog on, or what should I make content on? I tell them, when someone asks you a question, blog the answer. You know that someone's interested, someone wants to know. And if one person wants to know, probably a lot of other people want to know. And it's sort of a quick and dirty answer that's meaningful to the people that I'm speaking with. And they know their clients. They know. I found that people have probably 100 times the amount of knowledge in their head than they will allude to at any one time. I've talked to people for an hour, and then all of a sudden the gems start to fall out. They start telling you about the things that they're doing that you had no idea that they ever did. And one person said to me, I didn't think it was important. So there's an incredible wealth of knowledge locked up in our clients' heads. And if we can just get them to release all that, their followers would just love it. And it works.
Well, and I think it's, like I said earlier, I think it's actually undoing all of the bad content marketing, content strategy knowledge that they've been hearing on the web for like the last 4 years. Like I was saying, like the Guy Kawasaki model of we need to produce more and more and more content, you know, and then just feed the content beast. And that's, like I said, such bad advice, because it gets you away from actually creating valuable content. You know, you've traded value for quantity.
Right.
And that's the problem. And like I said, yeah, just like you were saying, you have to unlock that, but you have to have them unlearn that other part. You know, you don't need to be putting out blog articles a day, as long as the one you do a week is so valuable to your audience.
That's right. Agreed.
You know, that's what you need to do. I mean, my clients laugh at me because I tell them, you know, like I set a content marketing, a calendar for them and a strategy for them. And then they look at my company's own blog, and we post maybe one blog article a month. They're like, well, you're not living up to your own things. And I'm saying, well, it takes you a month to digest what I just wrote last month. So I'm not going to overwhelm you, you know, and it's not harming our content strategy.
I got a question for you guys. So, you know, you alluded to the fact you have to have kind of like a buyer persona in mind when you write your content for your website and for your blog post. What other key elements should a blog post contain in your eyes to be successful?
A really strong title, maybe a photograph, a couple of paragraphs. People are divided in the length of a blog post. Some people like 1,000 words. For me, if it's 50 or 60 words, that can do the job. If you go to Seth Godin's blog, he's got one of the most popular blogs on the web. Some of his posts are very short. But definitely keywords, you want it to be found, and high quality material that somebody's going to want to read.
I think for me, I think it boils down to speaking to the challenge and speaking to the person who's having that challenge in their voice. You know, length from a search engine perspective, for example, length does not necessarily matter. You know, people will say 800 words performs better than, you know, 200 words in search, but that's not necessarily true.
That's right.
What's the most important thing from a search perspective, and this is Google's focus on quality, is that your content needs to solve the problem, and they're doing that through long click analysis. So if in 100 words you've answered the question to the best for that user and their challenge, then your content will perform better than everyone else's, even if they wrote 10 times more content than you.
Right.
The title, it's gotten away from, it's not entirely away from, but it's moved away from keywords and keyword dumping, and more towards, do you have the title that answers the question? When they see your search result in the search results page, is your listing in there speaking to the challenge? Is your meta description speaking to the problem that they're trying to solve? Because more often than not, that's what they're doing. It's called intent-based search engine optimization. So it's really, again, about how you and your content is speaking to the challenge and connecting with the audience, no matter what channel they're coming in from, whether it's social media or search engine or whatever.
So we got a question here from, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Evangelos. And he wants to know, how about using other people's content on your blog?
I think that's called content curation, excuse me. I wouldn't use it on my blog. I would link to it if it was supported, but I see no value in taking 100% of what somebody else created and putting it on my blog. I do use content curation a great deal with Clout, and I post it on Twitter, and that gets around to other places as well. That's very effective, but I wouldn't do it on the blog. What do you think, David?
So one of the things that Google and the people who read your content like to look for is backing up of your assertions. Like if you can include links to authoritative sites that back up a conclusion or back up an assertion that you're making, that make your content more authoritative, then you're providing value to your audience. And if you're providing value to your audience, they're always going to look back at you for more value. It's good for search, but it's also great for audience building, because they start looking at you as the person who, it's not just you spouting off your ideas, but it's you backing them up. It's you validating them. It's you giving them other resources to consider, and it will aid in your long-term audience development. Yes, it might be leading people off your website, even temporarily, but you're the person that provided them with value. Okay. They're going to come back to you.
That's right.
It's a long-term play.
And I would agree with what David's saying. Here's one thing I think needs to be emphasized, Evangelos. If you're going to use other people's content, make sure you credit the source. Make sure you cite it, or you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. Yeah. I know someone, and so I'm going to give you a scenario. This is a real scenario. I know someone who had a web designer who did exactly that. It was an image. They took the image, didn't have the copyright for it, posted the image on my friend's site. That friend was fined $5,000 for using that image. Not the web designer, but the owner of the site was fined. So you have to be very careful to make sure you credit. Right. Don't use other people's images anyway, but make sure you credit wherever you got that. It's just like when you were in school. If you wrote, if you were going to use information, you do some research, you have to quote that research, you have to cite it. So you have to do the same thing on your website, on your blog, wherever you're sharing this content. Go ahead.
And that also, I'm sorry, if you're going to use video, people love to put some music at the beginning or the end, or sometimes trickle it all the way through. You just can't go out and take someone's music. That's a copyright violation. We create original music and use it on our videos. So when I should say we, I don't do it. When we do a customer video, there's no question. I sleep good at night because I know that music we have all the rights in the world to use, because we created it, so we own it. And I know that my clients are never going to get a call or an email saying, we're suing you because, I don't know, you use Anya. I happen to really like Anya's music or whoever's music. You just can't go out and take that stuff. Because there's been cases where photographs have been used without permission by, I mean, sports teams, big companies, lots of dollars involved, and they've been sued, and it cost them a lot of money. You don't want to do that. So plagiarism is a bad idea. Don't do it.
Taking it a step further, I mean, especially like we were talking about, you're talking about with images. One of the things that I think can really help. So about a year and a quarter ago, we were redoing our content strategy for my company's blog, and everyone, when they write a blog or have a blog, they're always like, oh, we should, we need to get stock photography for our blog to make it more eye-catching and social sharing and everything else like that. But we decided instead to actually invest in a illustrator who, for every one of our blog posts, makes a custom illustration that we own, and we pay him per illustration. Not only is it great from a content strategy standpoint, but from a branding standpoint, it's amazing. People have told me, like, when they call me up and they're like, oh, I was reading the blog post, one of your blog posts. I'm like, well, which one? And they describe the image. It sticks in their head. It's pure branding. And when they follow us, they're looking for our images. Like, they know to expect these branded images, these illustrated images, which sets us apart from so much of our competition who have taken to using stock photography with like a text overlay that looks like everyone else's stock photography with a text overlay.
Right. Which sort of defeats the purpose. What you said is perfect. You want to set yourself apart from everybody else.
Yeah. And it wasn't expensive, and it's just a little bit investment in your content. It's a little bit investment in your brand.
Did you blog that?
To have something that
Did you blog that?
I did.
Excellent. Good man. Love it.
And it's not that hard. It's not that expensive. I mean, even if you go on, not Fiverr, but there's plenty of sites that do that have people that will do it for pretty expensive. And it's a little bit, like I said, investment in your content and your branding to create something unique as opposed to looking like everyone else. And that's where that tiny bit can help you stand apart from everyone else.
All right, gentlemen, we have to, unfortunately, going to put an end to this, but we're going to go through a few quick questions. So just short answers. I'm going to ask one of our original interview questions real quick, but I'm going to shorten it. User experience or content, which one is more important?
Oh, I'm a big fan of both. I think if you do good content, you're going to give a good user experience. You're moving more towards, in my mind, you're moving more towards entertaining people, having a pleasing website or pleasing video. What you're doing is keeping people there.
Okay, David.
What do you other guys think?
Ooh. I mean, I think they're part of the same thing. I mean, I don't think you can separate them. I mean, like, just, yeah, if you have content but the person can't read it, what's the purpose? If the user experience on the content is so bad that they can't even read the article, you've defeated the purpose. And by the same point, you might have the greatest user experience, but you don't have any content of value. There's no point. I think they just...
So David's running for president. I get it.
Yeah.
There you go. David, before...
I'm trying.
We're not done yet.
What's your email address?
We're not done yet. Just, I got some timely questions here in a second. But yeah, so David, good. I would, he just put it in the chat, Wayne. I would agree with both you. I think that thankfully the days of I need all this Flash content and all this other crap on my site are gone. And I think the content, good, relevant content is part of the user experience now. So Sunday, I'm sorry if you guys aren't big football fans or sports fans, but Sunday is Super Bowl 50, so we have some related questions to that. So Eugene, you want to start that off? We call this the fire round, but we changed it for the Super Bowl.
right. These are short answers. Favorite football team?
Wow, aren't you in Massachusetts?
Eagles.
Wayne?
I don't follow sports. I'm afraid I don't have a favorite team.
Born
Okay.
born and raised in Philadelphia.
Gotta be painful living in Massachusetts
You can't
then.
take it out of you.
Eugene,
Oh, it's painful. Trust me.
what's your favorite football team? Come on.
I don't have one. I follow
I'm a
players
Jets
in
fan.
football.
All right. We
You're
were
a
in the
fantasy
same
football
league.
player.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
We were in the same
Yeah,
league
get
this
it.
year, and neither one of us won. Eugene came close though.
No,
Yeah, so I'm a Jets fan.
I do.
Yeah, thanks. Who do you guys
Oh, I'm
think
sorry.
outright? Forget the spread. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Wayne, any predictions? I know you're not a fan, but
No,
All right.
no. Any predictions would be
David?
less than useless.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Yeah,
It's not about the team. It's
Eugene.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, I already know yours.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm gonna
yeah,
have to agree. Unfortunately,
Carolina.
I would love to see Peyton go out on top, but I don't think it's gonna happen. If you could
And I
play.
also think-
Oh, go ahead, Eugene. Go ahead.
I also think-
Question anyway.
Yeah, go ahead. But I also think in real life, a panther would take down a horse, so
That's your logic. Okay.
that's why. Yeah,
I think that's your wife's logic. I don't think that's your logic.
well,
Eugene.
well, the question is whether my wife has logic. But next question,
Oh,
if you could
this is
play
recorded.
any sport professionally, what would it be?
If what?
You could play any sport professionally, what would it be?
Probably tennis.
Tennis.
I
Okay.
broke crew.
Actually, I'd like
Ooh,
to ski professionally when I was younger. I loved skiing. Oh, that was phenomenal.
Skiing. Okay. Skiing, tennis, crew. Those are all answers I did not expect.
None
Eugene?
of the big four. Interesting. If I had to play, probably soccer.
Baseball. Love baseball. All right. And last one for you guys. Is Peyton Manning going to retire after the Super Bowl? Yeah. I think it's unanimous.
No
in this room,
question.
right? Yeah. He's done.
I think he's had
Although
enough.
the Rams are interested, but I think he's done.
No, he's done.
All right, gentlemen, I appreciate it. David Kutcher, if you could just tell everybody how to find you.
Sure. You guys can find me on confluentforums.com. And that's Twitter handle, website, and yeah, find me, follow me, David Kutcher on Google+.
And do you blab on a regular basis or?
I pop in occasionally.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually between projects.
Yeah, that's tough, right? Wayne, how do we find you?
Webcontentrx.biz.
Awesome. Eugene is TraegerInsurance.com, right?
Yep.
It's right there behind his big head. And of course, I am
There he is.
.com. But this show, see, he doesn't need Manny
blab,
Cam. He's got it
I'm gonna do
right
this.
behind him.
I'm gonna blab like this next time.
The show is on growthsuccessradio.com. It will be uploaded hopefully sometime today. Hey, Jonathan Tripp just popped in. John, we ran over. Sorry. This show will be uploaded to growthsuccessradio.com. This is episode 21. It will be uploaded to iTunes, YouTube, and everything else later today. We will be back next week with Eugene. What's his name?
Abdul Maklad. I believe that's how I pronounce his last name, but he is a health and wellness coach, I would say. It's the best way to describe him.
Okay. So we're going to talk to him about his business strategies and his marketing and so forth. That'll be next Friday, 10 a.m. We are here every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we hope to see you all back then. Any parting thoughts, gentlemen?
Yes, if you send me the link, I will publicize this.
Thank you.
We'll do.
Or your most popular link. Pick a link.
Yep, we'll do. Once it's uploaded, I'll send it to everybody.
Yes. Oh, perfect.
David, parting thoughts? Are those your
Back
kids in the
to
background I hear?
Kids in the background, home with a snow day.
The snow, I know.
Yeah.
My son is upstairs patiently waiting for me. Eugene,
Sounds good.
parting thoughts?
Drive safe.
Drive safe. I'm not driving. All right, gentlemen. Thanks for coming. Let me stop the recording.